Picture a land locked in the heart of Europe. It has no access to the sea. It has no colonies. It has almost no natural resources. For centuries, its soil was too poor to farm, and its mountains were too dangerous to cross. Welcome to Switzerland. But erase the image of luxury watches and chocolate from your mind. We are traveling back to the 1500s. At that time, Switzerland was the poorhouse of Europe. It was a rugged, desolate place where the only export was blood. Young Swiss men had no jobs, no food, and no future. So, they sold themselves. They became mercenaries. The Swiss Guard you see at the Vatican today is a relic of this desperate past. For hundreds of years, the Swiss were the soldiers of fortune for other kings, dying on foreign battlefields just to send money back to their starving villages in the Alps. How did this nation of poor mountain farmers become the wealthiest, most stable country on earth? How did they turn a land of rock and ice into a fortress of gold? The transformation began with a radical decision: neutrality. After the Battle of Marignano in 1515, where thousands of Swiss mercenaries died, the country looked inward. They decided to stop fighting for others. They decided to sit out the wars of Europe. This decision was genius. While France, Germany, and Italy destroyed each other in endless wars for centuries, burning down their factories and draining their treasuries, Switzerland remained untouched. It became an island of stability in a continent of chaos. But stability alone does not create wealth. You need something to sell. Since they had no iron, no coal, and no cotton, they couldn't compete in mass production. They had to choose a different path. They chose precision. If you import a ton of steel, you can make a cheap car. But if the Swiss imported a gram of steel, they turned it into a watch spring worth thousands of dollars. They realized that their lack of resources was actually a blessing. It forced them to focus on high-value, low-volume goods. Watches. Pharmaceuticals. Precision machinery. Then came the money. In the 17th century, persecuted Protestants from France fled to Switzerland. They brought with them skills, connections, and capital. They laid the foundations of Geneva's private banks. But the real turning point was the banking law of 1934. It codified banking secrecy into criminal law. In a world that was becoming increasingly volatile, with the rise of fascism and communism, the wealthy elite of the world needed a safe place to hide their assets. Switzerland became that vault. For decades, capital flooded into Zurich and Geneva. It didn't matter if you were a king, a dictator, or a business tycoon. The Swiss banks didn't ask questions. They just offered security. This influx of capital allowed Switzerland to fund its massive infrastructure, digging tunnels through the Alps that are marvels of engineering. Today, looking at Switzerland is like looking at a different planet. It is not just rich, it is hyper-efficient. The trains run to the second. The streets are spotless. The political system is unique in the world. They don't have a single powerful president. They have a council of 7, and the people vote on everything directly, from taxes to immigration laws. This stability has attracted the world's biggest corporations. Glencore, Nestle, Roche, Novartis. They all call this tiny mountain nation home. However, the Swiss miracle is not without its shadows. The era of absolute banking secrecy is largely over, pressured by the United States and the European Union. The country is now pivoting again. It is no longer just a hiding place for money, it is a global hub for cryptocurrency, biotech, and diplomacy. The visuals of Switzerland, the Matterhorn piercing the sky, the serene purity of Lake Geneva, the gold bars stacked in vaults, tell a story of extreme discipline. The Swiss proved that you don't need an empire to be powerful. You don't need oil to be rich. You don't need a large army to be safe. You need to be useful. You need to be reliable. And you need to be precise. From the bloody battlefields of the Middle Ages to the quiet, air-conditioned vaults of Zurich today. This is the story of how the poor mountain farmers conquered the world, without firing a single shot. This is the fortress of Europe. You are watching World Treasury. Subscribe now to unlock the economic secrets of nations.